Alright gang, we are jumping into settings right now. We have the best settings to get the highest FPS, and this honestly, like, I don't understand why people will sacrifice like quality for FPS in this game. Like Call of Duty, if you want to be competitive with Call of Duty, if you want to be at the top, if you want to be one of the best, you gotta maximize everything to go towards your gameplay, okay? Now I'm not saying like, okay, let's make everything just a completely buns, but there's some things that are just absolutely accessory that we do not need, and we're going to cover that in this video to get maximum FPS to absolutely shred. Like, look right here, look at the VRAM usage I have on my PC. Like, I still have like what is that, 12 gigs total, and I'm only using 3 gigs. That's actually outrageous. It's unnecessary to use like maximum gigs. And then this like last little 800 here is probably OBS. That's probably OBS 100%. All right, so we play full screen borderless. Obviously this is the monitor we use, graphics card, stuff like that. I do not use VSync. Like, VSync is chop. Turn off VSync, you don't want that. Custom frame rate limit, we have that at 250 right now. Honestly, we could probably go higher, but I've noticed like you definitely get screen tearing if it's too high, so I don't know, we're gonna leave it there. I have a 240 hertz monitor. All my monitors are 240, 1440p, so I leave that at 250. Why not? Menu rate, I guess, set to 250 as well. Reset shaders optimization. If you're ever getting a loss of frames, like if you were watching this video because like, oh, I used to get this and now I don't, reset your shaders optimization. That definitely helps. It just kind of like redoes the queue for everything. You can kind of get an idea of what's working and what's not. Let's see, high dynamic range. I use HDR, like it's on automatic, it's on, it should be on unless I have the setting actually turned off. But really this is like meat and potatoes right here. It's going to be on quality. So preset, render resolution is obviously 1440p. It's going to be set to 100. Upscaling and sharpening is going to be on Fidelity FX CAS. That's going to be set to 100. A lot of videos I watch, they don't show this. Like, it's going to be set to 100. Anti-aliasing Filmic SMAAT2X is what I prefer. You do not have to run that. I run it. I like my game to be a little more sharp. It has medium effects on GPU, so this definitely will hit frames. This is one of those things where we talk about, it's like, you don't want your game to look like buns, but you want maximum FPS. For me personally, Filmic SMAAT2X actually works. Another thing to keep noted, if you have a nice GPU, like I have a 3080 Ti I'm rocking right now in this build. If I'm rocking this, I don't want to make settings like this so low that the graphics card has to work double time, because a lot of these settings work better with a better graphics card. I know that sounds crazy, but if you have a nice GPU, if you dumb everything down too much, it might put more stress on the GPU trying to downgrade everything. These cards are made to run. It's like owning a Ferrari or Lamborghini. Like, you gotta run those things. You're not supposed to just drive around, you know, speed limit everywhere. You gotta fly in those things. Anti-aliasing quality is gonna be set to low. Video memory scales on 90. Texture resolution is low. Texture filter anisotropic is going to be normal. All of these are going to be set to low. So we got low, low, short, low, low. Bullet impacts. This is one of those things like, no, I don't care about a bullet impact. The only time I need bullet impacts is when I'm learning recoil control for a weapon pattern. That is it. And honestly, I don't have to do that much because I've done it for so many years. I know like how to work these guns. I know how to control the recoil. If you are wondering what I'm talking about, I upload a video about how to improve your aim specifically on console. You can do it on PC though, it works everywhere, but it's like the best aim trainer for console. That was 2 days ago. Check that out. Persistent damage layers is definitely going to be off. Tessellation's off. On-demand texture streaming I have turned off. Streaming quality is low. Volumetric quality is low. Deferred physics quality is definitely off. Water quality is on default. Like, again, why do I care about wave wetness, bro? And water caustics, that's chopped. You're no shot you care about that. Shadow map resolution very low. Screen space shadows SSS off. Spot shadow quality is on low. Spot cache is on high. Particle lighting low. Ambient occlusion is on off. And then they have like the GTAO quality is on ultra if you have it on. I will not, like, I don't run this. Like, If you look at these two images right here on the right, you don't notice a difference here. Like there's no way you look at this, you go, oh yeah, the ambient occlusion, it looks super good. Like everything looks better. Get that out of my face. Screen space reflections off, static reflection qualities on low, weather grid volumes off, NVIDIA reflex low latency. This is what I've been told. I was told this by a guy who like revs up computers, you know, they like boost PCs, whatever, for performance. Basically, with NVIDIA reflex low latency, if you have an NVIDIA card, if you have a good card, and when I say a good card, I mean like a 3080 Ti and up. So 3080 Ti, 3090, 3090 Ti, 40 series, whatever. And obviously the new 50 series cards are coming. Do not run on plus boost. That's one of those things that like hurts performance on the card. On like my graphics card, I'm looking at it now in my case. There's actually a switch on it that manually overclocks that, so I don't need to push it anymore. If I turn on low latency, like to on, the card's already OC'd, so it doesn't need the boost. So we go ahead and turn it on, and we don't want it to draw so much power that the CPU is going to be taking a hurting from this. Like obviously we have a 1500 watt power supply in here. I mean, we went overkill with that. It's not like we're gonna drain everything, but in the same sense, like you want everything to be balanced on the board. If you have a nice card, set it to on. Depth of field, leave that off. World motion blur off. Weapon motion blur off. And film grain 0. It's not like Modern Warfare 2019 where it was like 0.001. Weapon motion blur, people are like, oh, if you run weapon motion blur, your game will run smoother. Hell no, bro. It looks smoother. It's an illusion. Like, and plus your sights are all blurred when you're trying to turn on people. Dumb. Get that out of here. And maybe if you're like trying to be flashy on TikTok, keep that on. But if not, chop it. Field of view, we got that at 120. If you're not rocking 120, you're a bozo, especially if you're on 1440p. Fun fact, field of view at a higher resolution is not the true saying. So I play 120, I'm on 1440, that's realistically about 110, 115. It's not a full 120. If you're playing at 1080, that's at 120. Even when I did play 1080, I still use 120. You want your field of view in this game to be as high as possible so you can see as much like in front of you as possible. Like why would you not want that advantage? Like I genuinely don't understand that. If you look at my mouse here on the screen, this is the 110 mark right here. This is about 110. So if you're playing at 1080, which I'll get into the topic of 1080 and 1440 in a minute, but if you're playing at 1080, why would you settle for that when you can have this much more real estate? If there's a guy standing right here and you have your thing set to 110, anything under 120, you're fried, buddy, because you're going this way. You're not looking over here. You're not looking over here. Keep this as high as it goes. And then the next step is affected FOV. There's two reasons you want to rock affected FOV. The number one reason being less visual recoil. The smaller you can make your sight, affected means this is affected on the right, this photo on the right, which my webcam's kind of in the way, but you can see the optic and you can see the statue in the background. On independent, right here, the statue is as if it was like back to what, 60 FOV, whatever the default is. On the right, it's still at 120. Okay, this is still at 120. The smaller that object is in your sight, the less you'll see visual recoil, the more shots you'll hit, because you will manage it better. That is proven. The second reason we use affected FOV is for the same reason we use 120. You can see more around. If you're zapping a guy in front of you, let's say you're posted up, drawing a scenario, you're in the middle of a field, you're here, there's a house to your left and there's a kid way ahead running from you, you're zapping him, and then all of a sudden a guy runs around from the house, you don't hear him, he has dead silence. If you're on independent, you're probably not going to see that. If you're on affected, I guarantee you're about to see that, bro, because you're opening up that field of view. So definitely 120 affected. Weapon field of view, we put that on wide. If you put it on wide, it makes your gun smaller, which entails you can see more. This sounds so crazy, but I'm telling you, you can see more. Like right here, this is standard, okay? This is on wide, and you can see right here, this little bag, you see how there's like more of a gap right here compared to right here, this little bit of gap? That makes a difference, bro. I'm telling you, like, if you were competitive in this game, any little thing that will give you more of an advantage makes a difference, and this does that. third person field of view is on 90, vehicle field of view is on wide, camera movement least on everything, bro. We don't want the camera to move any more than it absolutely has to. Going back to display, we're gonna talk about, or quality, we're gonna talk about display. God, I'm losing it, gang. I'm losing it. 1440p. Okay, we play 1440p. Why don't we play 1080? Because if you think about it, okay, if we play 1080p, we get more frames as it is. We probably get realistically 50 something odd frames. And the game would run smoother. We get a higher FOV. So why don't we run 1080p? With 1440p, players stand out so much easier because the resolution quality is so much higher. People, you can tell people apart from objects, whatever, way easier than 1080p. And it's funny, you play at 1440, you go back to 1080, and the game just looks really fuzzy. The clarity you get from 1440p gives you an edge, undoubtedly. So for sacrificing a little bit of frames for 1440p, in my opinion, that is worth it. That is a necessary sacrifice. But if you don't care, like if you are just an absolute demon, you're like, oh, I don't need any clarity, blah, 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 which I can tell you now, 95% of pros are playing on 1440p. If you are like, oh, I don't need that, go ahead, go to 1080, 120 FOV, affected, rock it, go crazy. But right now, this is the move, gang. These are my settings. This is what boosts the gameplay, so everyone can go in the comments and call me a cheater and a hacker, and every death comes like a racial slur and you're cheating and have aimbot. So this is why right here, because we give ourselves every advantage we can. And in these videos right here, these settings videos, it's funny, they're my least viewed videos, but they are the videos that pump out like the most heat out of any of my content. Like, fuck a 40 bomb. Why post a 40 bomb when I can show you how I'm doing it? Like, I would assume that everybody watching wants to be able to do that, and I'm giving y'all the free game right here, right now. Look, if you're new to the channel, enjoy the content, man. Hit that sub button, crush that like button. MW3 is coming, and boy, before Warzone 3, I guess, comes out, we got nukes to drop. MGB's coming in hot for BGU. You heard? Catch you tomorrow for that another heater. Let's get it, gang.